Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mastermind Book Club. I'm your host this evening, along with my co host and panelist, Mr. Reggie Hilliard. And today's book is by Wallace D. Wattles, A New Christ, Jesus, the Man, and His Work. And to give us a brief summary and his view on today's book will be Mr. Reggie Hilliard. Reg?
Hello, everyone. Reggie Hilliard from the Mastermind Book Club. So we've been doing a bit of Wattles. This is, I guess, the third in a row that we've done. Pretty good information he plays out or gives us with these different books. And this one, the New Christ, where he talks about Jesus, the man and his works. He refutes or kind of counters some of what we've heard about Jesus in various texts. We talk about Jesus in the Bible. We know what we hear from Jesus about Jesus in the Bible as it relates to him being a guy who was meek and a guy who was very humble and just very much like taken advantage of to some degree, or allowed himself to be taken advantage of, these types of things that we've heard. But he kind of counters that in the book where he says like he wasn't very meek. He stood out. He was this guy who wasn't humble. He wore the finest clothing. When it came down to him being crucified, he basically said, you know what, I'm going to step in there and be crucified. It's not as if like he was being, taken over or taken advantage of. So there's some of these things that he basically speaks to, which, and even there was one thing he mentioned about this guy, like the version of Jesus that he said, where if it was time, if the president of the United States had I forget what he said, something where if he got assassinated, or I forget, maybe it wasn't that, but if then Jesus was to take office, it was said that a lot of the people would basically pull their money from the bank and like take off if given the old sort of like, or the version of Jesus as was purported to be, this guy who was very much like not a strong figure. So Wallace basically goes counter to that and says he was everything, on the other side of that, with this mighty figure, powerful, not meek, not humble, beautiful, just beautiful adorned clothing and all this kind of good stuff. So this is, pretty much at least one part of the book that he touches on as it relates to Jesus, and it's pretty good stuff. I mean, many people probably wouldn't, not, it doesn't matter, but maybe wouldn't necessarily really like want to hear that or maybe agree with it. But I just found it very interesting, or at least good, something to listen to as it relates to Jesus, the other side, and how this guy was a mighty figure, that stood that once upon the time walked the earth. And that's what I have.
Reggie, thank you, man. There's so many different opinions on who Jesus was, who Jesus is, but I'm gonna turn back to what the good book says, that Jesus was a man of compassion, that he was a man of love, that he was a man of salvation. And the book goes on to say that he was God in the flesh, that he was the Word, and the Word dwelt among us. And given the current situation with what's going on in Israel and in Palestine with Hamas and the Israelis and all the different factions over there, we definitely have to look at what biblical scriptures are talking about, uh, leading to what they phrase as the end time. Uh, Before the end time, you do have times of sorrows, and in the good book it talks about in Matthew 24 chapter being rumors of wars and earthquakes and desolates in various places, and we have all of these things that are showing a sign of the time. However, going back to Jesus being a man of compassion, yes, he did wear adorned robe because he was the Son of God. I'm sure he wouldn't go to the temple looking bummy, but he was a man of salvation. He was a man of love. And in today's situation, in today's climate, I want to focus on love. For if we love one another, then that will be the key to solving some of our issues, to see each other in love, to love the people who are starving, to love the people whose family lost loved ones at a celebration. We definitely need some love and some type of intervention and understanding in our world's affairs to lift this dark cloud that's hovering over us. So if anything, I would want to focus on, in addition to what Reggie said, is that we need to apply our faith and belief in. And if you have faith and belief, this is the time more than ever before to use your faith and belief and not get lost in the circumstances of what's going on. So that's my opinion. And this is Reggie Hilliard and Charles Comer signing off tonight and thanking you for your time. So in the absence of our Honorable David Diaz and some of our other panelists, I bid you good night and thank you once again. All right, bye-bye now.